Welcome to Check It Out with Jessica Lee. I'm here with Daryl Eicher, who is the Senior Principal Product Marketing Director at Oracle for the Enterprise Integration Platform.
That's correct.
I should say. Welcome to the show, Daryl.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I guess you have to define what this area you're in, because Oracle is such a big company, over 10,000 employees, and define for us what this market you're in.
You bet. This is the Enterprise Integration Platform as a Service. So really connecting anything, any application, whether it be a cloud app, SaaS application, or an on-premise business application. Get them to connect with each other, be able to extend them to make sure that they've got exactly the capabilities in the exact way that's needed, and then string them together, string those integrations and automations into an end-to-end business process such as order to cash or recruit to hire.
Okay. This is an exciting area because a lot of companies, or every company, is actually going through some kind of transformation.
Right.
Yeah?
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think you're right. A lot of customers will argue with you. You know, is it really a transformation? Is it really a disruption? Or is this something that we've been investigating and investing in for some time? We have been building agility. We've been building towards this moment. And now we're continuing to deliver on that. So, you know, if we're working with utilities, we're working with public-private, we're working with banks and financial services, they're disrupting themselves. And they're doing it on their time in a hybrid kind of fashion, in a very deliberate kind of way. Other folks, startups, new companies that we have are just changing the game altogether, taking processes that used to take days and weeks, turning them into an overnight done.
Okay, so automating a lot of the tasks, the
Correct.
repetitive tasks.
The mechanical. Anything you can think of that's mechanical on your day-to-day. If you cut and paste, if you carry paper, if you need to call someone, if only Mary or only Joe can make that call and they happen to be out.
That's right.
All of those anything that slows down an employee, slows down a deal, slows down a customer's interest in you or your brand, or their ability to give you feedback and help you to understand where you ought to be focused, anything like that, I look at as friction, and that's a target.
Yes. Finding those opportunities in the operations.
In the operation.
Where you can automate.
That's right. These transformations are measured on two levels. On the one hand, they're measured in terms of strategic capability. What can I do that's uniquely going to bring customers to me, that's going to give me that growth that I need? At the end of the day, though, to get those kinds of strategic advantages, we have to measure it. We have to attack it in clicks and seconds. So, for example, we have the Co-op in the UK, and I've been privileged to get to work with their team on a human resources, human capital management transformation involving. They want to digitize their recruiting process.
Okay.
You know, they have a lot of capability. They've been around for some time. They're 10 billion pound sterling operation, 43,000 employees in this particular grocery kind of line of business. They wanted to cut time to hire. They just wanted to cut it. So in this effort, in 2 quarters, we cut the time to hire from 12 hours to 4 hours, or 3 hours. We cut the number of clicks that it takes to raise a job requisition from 60 to 5. Right? It's these minutes to seconds, weeks to hours, compression, typically by taking away the mechanics, by finding ways to do things digitally, to do things with robotic process automation, to do things with AI and digital assistants that used to take time out of our days, and give it back to the employee, give it back to the employee interacting with the customer, and the business will find a way.
So, given that you are talking to a lot of clients who are going through these initiatives, what are some of the top challenges that they tend to face when they want to do this?
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting one because the general impulse is to say, all right, let's focus on our customer experience. Let's get that right. And I think what we see, what we learn and hear every day is, you know what, that's exactly right. Put the customer in the center of your equation. Take care of them and the business will follow. The interesting thing is that the best way to do that is to take care of your employees. There is no such thing as a customer engagement with a brand that does not at some point involve a great engagement with one of those employees, with somebody who represents the culture, represents the values of the organization. Empower these people. It sounds corny, but take the mechanics away, give them what they need, the information they need, the capabilities they need. When we're sitting down and talking about, we've got a quote in Q3, and we're working with the Department of the Air Force, for example. We know that this period of time is critical to your decision making, to your annual budgeting, and so on. So only a few hours in terms of getting our quote to you faster in that one period of time, that can make the difference between the biggest year you've ever had and missing out on that deal. And we're hearing that from our customers. We're hearing that from our partners. The experience isn't just the experience of using a product or a service. The experience is the entire brand experience. And that is one that's mobile. It's one that's physical. It's one that has a mixed modal, augmented kind of experience. Getting those touch points right, understanding where your customers are, giving your employees what they need, the knowledge they need in particular, to be responsive, to get on top of stuff that goes sideways, to get that quote out faster than your competitor. When you do that, when you're smiling when you do it, when you have the confidence that we see in customers who really know, look, we've transformed our factory. We know how long it's going to take you to build this unit. It's going to be on time. This is what you can count on. People get proud about those conversations. That's what they want to have. They don't want to sit around and talk about, well, we missed. Here's why. We won't do it again. That's not the conversation people want to have. And when we see those conversations changing because applications are modernized, they've been connected, they've been extended, they've been orchestrated in terms of end-to-end processes. And we have people who wake up every morning saying, how can we get that just a little bit easier? How can we make it just a tiny bit simpler and faster for our employees, for our customers? Those people that wake up with that kind of bad attitude about business as usual, that's who we want to make dangerous, and that is what we look for in every client.
Do you find that what people get excited and envision they want to do and actually executing and seeing the outcome pretty much align, or do you see there's a difference between what they envision and then it comes out differently?
I'm so glad you asked that. That's one of my favorite things. I think what happens with the great teams, with the teams that have really embodied digital, intelligent automation, call it transformational. What you begin to see is not just that the processes get better, not just that the technologies and the applications look nicer and are a little bit more modern and are more modern. No, what you see is a merging of roles. You see business architects and enterprise IT architects getting into each other's space. You see leaders who are recognized for their ability to change organizations, not because they grew up in a function or because they are the world's best at some specialized skill, but more like they know how to go in, they know how to build that team, they know how to disrupt without hurting the operations. And that transformation, it tends to show up as people who want to get up every morning, who want to come into work. They're more engaged. They're more fired up. They are more working towards a world that they don't know what it's going to be, and they're okay with that, you know. And that is a really different kind of team. And when you start to see that, when you start to behave like that, as our customers are doing in multiple industries, you start to see a kind of a pride come on. You start to see a kind of a swagger, a kind of a neat, you know, look, I know what I know, but together we're going to do something no one's thought of here before. So we talked about the story that came in this morning. I asked, I said, geez, what were you going for, you know, when you're trying to start this thing off, kick it off? Well, we had to reduce time to hire. That was our goal. We had to do that. That was what we set out to do. What are you most proud of now, looking back? Oh, well, that's different. What I'm most proud of is that our churn rate has dropped 11 points. Okay, why does that matter? That means we've got better employees, better engaged, doing better personally. That is what we could only hope for. But that is what we're beginning to experience. And we're going to keep pushing on that. We're going to keep looking at the year-end performance reviews. We're going to keep looking at what it takes to attract and retain, to bump our acceptance rate by 8 points to industry leading. And what does that mean? Sure, you're an employee in a store, but what does it mean when you have that sort of Trader Joe's camaraderie, when you've got that kind of group that the locals know, that they come to experience and expect to be fun and knowing you and having a good experience? That may sound like, oh, well, that's pie in the sky, but it's not. That's the thing that makes a difference in a store to a store manager. And you keep multiplying that over and over and over again, and it turns into better in-store performance. So what sounds like a very high, lofty strategic goal, improve your year-over-year, store, same-store performance. That's a perennial goal in retail. But it starts to move because we're focused on how many clicks does it take to open up a shopper position? How many minutes are we spending? And how many of those minutes do we need to do at every store every year? By breaking it down to that level of detail and focusing on what goes into that few sets of clicks, that is where the magic comes from. It's in moving those seconds, moving those minutes, taking that friction out from that. And when we start to look at how do we do that, what really happens is we build a team that can take any piece of the operation, any part of the business, and do it over again. So we have a customer in the retail, luxury retail, glasses. And they are just, people know their brands, but they don't maybe know the owner of those brands, as is the case in a lot of retail kind of thing. So they retool one product line, and their real proof point is, can I apply that to another product line? Can I take the learnings from here and apply it over here, from Ray-Ban over to Oakley? And the fact that that happens, the fact that Mitsubishi's E-Factory works in Chicago and works in the UK and works in Tokyo, and when it's improved everywhere. Right,
the scale there.
That's the scale. That's taking baby steps and making them giant leaps. Yes. And it's in the ability to fail fast, to fail often, to experiment on wild ideas on a day-to-day, but with that obsession on clicks, obsession on seconds. Show me how to do that. Show me how many people are doing that, and we will show you a way through it. To me, that's the excitement. And I asked these leaders, what was really radically different about your experience with Oracle integration and automation versus traditional approaches? Oh, wow. This is the first project involving IT and automation in my whole career that's ever come in on time and on budget. Okay. wow, that's interesting. Let's talk about that. Why? What happened? What's different here? And what it comes down to is the time between you as a business leader and your imagination, your idea, and implementation, from inspiration to implementation. That time, if you collapse it from months, which is the traditional kind of model,
Yes.
to minutes with push button releases. So we're looking at it on our phones. We're sharing it around with our colleagues. People are able to put it in their hands and talk with each other about it. I sort of like this. I don't like that much, but this is way better than we had before, right? That is how it's done. It's these microcycles being collapsed that makes the whole project come in on time with less surprises and less risk. It's a transformation in the way we do business, the way the business is doing business. And that's what makes these journey stories so fun, is people want to focus on the results of the journey, and they do, and they should. These quick wins matter, and the metrics do matter. But what fascinates me is the teams themselves. How are they changed? What are those people like? And every year I get to go back to some of my customers, and I get to see where they've gone from where they were. And what I see is more and more creativity, more and more momentum as the groundwork gets laid, and as these teams build confidence
Yes.
in their ability to crush
They're a lot more encouraged to focus on what else can we do.
What else can we do? And the executive team is starting to say, like, wow, that's interesting. You're moving the needle.
Yeah.
You know, you are changing the way we're hiring. You're changing the way we're quoting. You are really moving the needle. I don't know how you're doing it, but I want you to keep doing it. Look, of course, Oracle has great engineering, great products, and so on. And we are going through a transformation ourselves. You know, we're turning into a new kind of a company that is excited about this, and Larry's leadership around what is the future of automation. That's pivotal to us, and that kind of power matters. But it only matters when it's actually working for people, when it's working for customers. And that's kind of the why I think I'm the luckiest guy. I've got the best team at Oracle, and I get to see the customer success and work through that, really get into that, and share that with the world and with the organization's peers and so on. And really, by elevating the superpowers of each one of these organizations, whether that be a Mitsubishi, which was the factory where the Jurassic Park robot that changes the eggs, right, in the original movie, that factory is one of the transformed factories in Chicago and in the UK and in Tokyo. And that's a story about brand new AI-driven automation, Internet of Things, devices, that are taking care of each other, that are having predictive maintenance applied to them. This kind of automation sounds like space age stuff, and it sort of is. But the beauty is it comes down to human conversations. What makes that so successful is now customers can come to Mitsubishi with very rigorous small cell-based manufacturing requirements. And Mitsubishi, wherever they are globally, can turn around and answer yes. I know exactly what you need, and I'm going to deliver it exactly when you need it. That kind of confidence is a human factor. That's what builds their book of business, and that's what's driving their profitability and driving them into a future that, look, who knows what Industry 4.0 could do, where it will go.
It is very exciting.
We don't know, but we know it's going, and we know we're part of that. And so that and being ready for that and being excited about that journey, that's what I look for, and that's what really kind of wakes me up and makes me feel really great about where we're at as an industry, where Oracle's at, and most specifically, where our customers are at and how we can help them.
Excellent. Well, this has been a great conversation, Daryl. Thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts about what's happening in the industry in enterprise integration platform. I'm excited to hear your stories about these, the co-op story, the industrial manufacturers and all that. So exciting world.
Thank you. It is an exciting world. I can't think of a better time, right, to be around, because we are now in a situation where we have the technology, we have the examples, we know that we can do this. And what we can do is really start looking at automation and say, look, I want automation to work for my people, not the other way around. And that is a fair ask for anybody that's gone through school and comes in. It's their first job. They want to be creative. They want to show what they can do. They don't want to get bogged down in spreadsheets and paper-based processes and email chains that they can't understand and don't get. That's no way to engage a new talent.
Exciting world. I think you must be hiring.
We are hiring.
Yes, so there you have it. Check out Oracle. Thanks for watching. Take It Up with Jessica Lee, Daryl Eicher from Oracle.
Thank you, Jessica.